Recording. So first canto, 18th chapter, 22nd verse. Yatranurakta sahasaiva dhira vyapoya dehadishu sangamudham vrajanti tadparamhansyam antyam Yasminna hinso pashamah swadharmah. Yatra, with whom anuraktaha, firmly attached, sahasaha, all of a sudden, eva, certainly, dhiraha, self-control, vyapohya, leaving aside, deha, the gross body and the subtle mind, adishu, relating to, sangam, attachment, uddham, udham, udham, taken to, vrajanti, go away, tat, that, Paramahamsyam, the highest stage of perfection, Antyam, and beyond that, Yasmin, in which Ahimsa, non-violence, Upashamaha, and renunciation, Sudharmaha, consequential occupation. So, self-controlled persons who are attached to the Supreme Lord Krishna can all of a sudden give up the world of material attachment, including the gross body and the subtle mind, and go away to attain the highest perfection of the renounced order of life, by which violence, non-violence, and renunciation are consequential. So here the glorification of Parikshit Maharaj has been given. Though he is cursed by a Brahmana god, he did not take the curse very seriously, but he took the path very seriously. That is how to attain the supreme path. That is more important. Because his anuraktaha, anurakta means is more attached to Krishna. He is deeply attached to the lotus feet of Krishna. That is how for giving up his material attachment, it was not very difficult. Like Bharat Maharaj, he gave up everything and went to the forest. But then he got attached to the deer. But after that, again he realized. So when he comes as Jad Bharat, he attains the Supreme Lord. Now here, Parikshit Maharaj, he is so attached to Krishna that it was very easy for him to give up the material attachment. So when a person takes up to the service of Lord, automatically compassion and renunciation follows. You don't have to artificially renounce anything. If you're attached to Krishna, automatically you are renounced. Nivritta tarsher upageyamana bhava aushada shutra manobhirama kauttama shloka gunanuvada kuman virajyeta vinapashubna. I put this verse. Seemingly it was for Krishna Priya because she said, I'm not well. Then I said, this is the Aushadhi. But here, that verse is for this verse. Nivritta tarshet. It becomes very easy for a person to give up. This renunciation becomes very easy. We can see the practical life of all the devotees also. It becomes very easy to stop going to hotels, to stop going to cinemas. You take up to the devotional service, it becomes very easy. Even a small child is more interested in coming to hear the classes. He is not much interested in any of the material things. Slowly, when this devotion expands, and when a person becomes more serious in devotional service, renunciation becomes more easy. It follows. Renunciation follows, compassion follows. Automatically, when you see a person who is not having Krishna consciousness, you become more compassionate. So, how to identify whether I am growing in devotional life or not? These two things should happen: renunciation as well as compassion. That means our attachment to Krishna is increasing. So, para ishanubhava viraktir anyatra cha. If ishanubhava is increasing, it is like taraju. What do you call taraju? Weighing machine. If you put in one, the other one goes up. If the
Being
weight
balanced.
is here more, balancing machine, this goes down, that goes up. So if your attachment to Krishna is more, how to understand then? Renunciation automatically happens. and compassionate mood increases. You want everybody to take up Krishna consciousness. Though Krishna says in 16th chapter 20th verse, atheistic people will never come to me. They will only go to the hellish planets. But devotees say, no, no, no. Somehow I'll see that even atheistic people also chant. Actually, the Prabhupada went to West. He did not have all devotees there, all villagers, and not even coming in the poor Varnashrama, not even included in the Shudras. But see the compassionate mood of the Acharyas. They want to give even to those who are not interested. And in this way, one can understand that their attachment to Krishna is so much. And that faith is so much that what Krishna cannot do, they can do. Why Krishna empowers them? That is the mercy of Krishna. Okay. So non-violence renunciation are consequential. Consequential means it automatically follows. Okay. Adi Satviki Mataji, please read. We have been missing your voice for so many days. Read. Unmute yourself. Adi Satviki Mataji, unmute yourself. I think our collectivity is not proper. Kusum, start reading.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavatana. Yatranurakta sadasaiva dhira vyapoya dehadishu sangamudam vrajanti tatpara paramahamsyam mantam antyam yasmin ahimso pashama swadharmaha. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Self-controlled persons who are attached to the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, can all of a sudden give up the world of material attachment, including the gross body and subtle mind, and go away to attain the highest perfection of the renounced order of life, by which non-violence and renunciation are consequential. Purport: only the self-controlled can gradually be attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Self-controlled means not indulging in sense enjoyment more than is necessary. And those who are not self-controlled are given over to sense enjoyment. Dry philosophical speculation is a subtle sense enjoyment of the mind. Sense enjoyment leads one to the path of darkness. Those who are self-controlled can make progress on the path of liberation from the conditional life of material existence. The Vedas, therefore, enjoin that one should not go on the path of darkness, but should make a progressive march towards the path of light or liberation. Self-control is actually achieved not by artificially stopping the senses from material enjoyment, but by becoming factually attached to the Supreme Lord, by engaging one's unalloyed senses in the transcendental service of the Lord. The senses cannot be forcibly curbed, but they can be given proper engagement. Purified senses, therefore, are always engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord. This perfectional stage of sense enjoyment is called Bhakti Yoga. So, those who are attached to the means of Bhakti Yoga are factually self-controlled and can all of a sudden give up their homely or bodily attachment for the service of the Lord. This is called the Paramahamsa stage. Hamsas or swans accept only milk out of a mixture of milk and water. Similarly, those who accept the service of the Lord instead of Maya's service are called the Paramahamsas. They are naturally qualified with all good attributes such as pridelessness, freedom from vanity, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, respectability, worship, devotion, and sincerity. All these godly qualities exist in the devotee of the Lord spontaneously. Such Paramahamsas who are completely given up to the service of the Lord are very rare. They are very rare even amongst the liberated souls. Real non-violence means freedom from envy. In this world, everyone is envious of his fellow being. But a perfect Paramahamsa, being completely given up to the service of the Lord, is perfectly non envious. He loves every living being in relation with the Supreme Lord. Real renunciation means perfect dependence on God. Every living being is dependent on someone else because he is so made. Actually, everyone is dependent on the mercy of the Lord, but when one forgets his relation with the Lord, he becomes dependent on the conditions of material nature. Renunciation means renouncing one's dependence on conditions of material nature and thus becoming completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Real independence means complete faith in the mercy of the Lord with dependence on the conditions of matter. This Paramahamsa stage is the highest perfectional stage in Bhakti Yoga, the process of devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Okay. So the Paramahamsa stage is the highest perfectional stage in yoga, the process of devotional service to the Lord. Now, 1.18.23. Let's see. अहं हि पृष्टो अहं हि पृष्टो यमनो भवद्भिः राचक्ष आत्मावगमोऽत्र यावान् नभापतन्त्यात्मम् नभापतन्त्यात्मसमं पतत्रिणास् तथा समं विष्णुगतिं विपश्चितः 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 means learned people. Let us see. Aham, my humble self, he certainly, Prishtha, asked by you, Aryamanaha, as powerful as the sun, Bhavadvi, by you, Achakshe may describe, Atma Avagamaha, as far as my knowledge is concerned, Atra herein, Yavan, so far, Navaka, sky, Patanti, fly, Atma Samam, as far as it can, Patanta Trinaha, the birds, Tathadas, Samam, similarly, Vishnu Gatim, knowledge of Vishnu, Vipashchitaha, even though learned. So, O Rishis, who are as powerful as sun, I shall try to describe to you the transcendental pastimes of Vishnu as far as my knowledge is concerned. Ithaditam, ithamatim. That means, to the extent I have assembled, as the birds fly in the sky, as far as the capacity allows, so do the learned devotees describe the Lord as far as the realization allows. Last time we have done this, Yathaditam Yathamatim. I have heard from Sukadeva Goswami. To the extent I could assemble the knowledge, I will describe. To the extent a bird flies, that is his capacity. Some bird can fly to some extent, somebody can fly more, somebody can fly more. So description about Lord is their own realization. That is why it is hearing, it is the reading, it is um, realizing the topic and then expressing the topic. Simple. So here Goswami says, O Rishis, you are very powerful and very pure. Rishis are very powerful, very pure. I will try to describe to you because you have asked me, my humble self, aham, my humble self. So I will try to describe, but I can only describe to the extent I have realized. So Aryamanaha means you are like sons. And I will be speaking the knowledge to how much I have understood. Not that everything you can understand. Like lecture is going on. Some take it in some way, others take in a more better way. It is to the extent he has understood. Just as birds are flying in the sky according to their abilities in the same way, and you cannot say that he has attained the topmost height. No. So when you fly in plane, you can see down the birds are there. The plane is flying more higher than the birds, but the bird may think, "Oh, I have touched the sky." So in the same way, even those who are wise can know the Lord's pastime according to the intelligence. Simple, according to the intelligence. So that is why hearing process, a realizing process, a reading, a realization, and realization depends on seva. Sevon mukhoi jivado स्वयमेव स्फुरति अधः अतः श्री कृष्ण नामादि न भवेद ग्राह्यम इंद्रियै सेवोन्मुखै जीवादो स्वयमेव स्फुरति अधः. So trying to know about Krishna, Atha Shri Krishna Nam Adi, trying to know about Krishna, trying to know about the name, about the pastimes. Na bhaved grahya indriyahi, not by our material senses we can do that. The more we have service attitude, sevon mukhahi jivado, the more service attitude is there. Swayam eva spurti yadaha. It is Krishna who gives the knowledge. You see, where many verses are there in Bhagavatam, it says, Nayam Atma, Pravachanena Lapyas, Namedayana, Bhavuna Shutena. It is not that by my endeavor, by my intelligence, by my reading, by my hearing, by my speaking, I can understand him. No. Tameva Isha, Mrutatena Lapyas. Asej Atma, Mrutatanuswam, Krishna says, I reveal myself to that person, seeing his sincere attempt in the service. So that is why the more we serve our Guru Shishya Parampara, the more we become qualified at least to receive the knowledge. We cannot demand again. Tenu kampartam shamikshama. You can. Anukampaha cannot be demanded. We can wait patiently. Oh Krishna, please reveal. We can just serve. Like we have Periya Alvar always serving Krishna. He used to make flowers for Lord. And he used to give his daughter Andal. And she used to make flowers and she used to give to her father. And once he found the hair in, then Lord revealed, let her wear and give. I like it. That is how Vadabhadrashali was given the flowers which is worn by Andal. But anyhow, I used to make flowers. So once there was a call from Madurai king that you are asked to come and debate with a scholarly person, very proud scholarly person. And Lord revealed to that king that called Periyalvar. Periyalvar was shocked. He said, I don't know anything except for making flowers. I am not a scholarly person. Lord says, you just open the mouth. I will speak from your mouth. And that is how in Madurai, Lord speaks from the mouth of Periyalvar, who was always engaged in the seva. Then when he conquered, then everybody were glorifying him. The king told, I'll make you sit in the elephant and take a procession. So Lord himself comes to see this wonderful procession of Periya Alvar sitting on the elephant. Then Periya Alvar is in the mood of Vatsalya. He immediately sings Pallandu, 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 Pallairathandu. Hey Lord, don't come before everyone like this. Everybody's drishti is on you. There will be evil eyes on you. Lord says, don't worry. I have come in my Garuda. Hey, what Garuda will do, even for Garuda also, they will put drishti, pallandu, pallandu for Garuda also. And Lord says, why are you worrying? I have my Shankha Chakra. Okay, pallandu, pallandu for them also. So much love that Periya Alvar only has Vatsalya Rasa towards love, towards Lord. So much of seva. Vatsalya means what? It's not so easy to grow up a child. You can have every relationship, but growing up children is not so easy. Every demand of children to be fulfilled, and especially father of Krishna means too much. And Krishna is very naughty. So many demands. I want this, I want that. And that Vatsalya Rasa, he was always in service of Krishna. And Krishna speaks through him. So Sevon Mukhahi Jivado Swayameva Spurti Adaha. And here Sutta Goswami clearly says, to the extent I have assembled the knowledge, I will speak that much. Don't expect that I am going to speak everything, whatever I have heard. I never try to repeat a class. Sometimes there is a bad habit. People listen, they'll write the note, and they will try to exactly repeat what the other speaker told. You cannot do that also. Well, even if you do that, it will come out artificially. You hear the class, you read the contest, and then you realize the subject and speak. When you speak after realization, it will come out in a more better way. Sometimes it will come out in a very simpler way. To, to the extent the other person also hears, Vyasa will speak that much only. We are only opening the mouths. It is actually Vyasa who uh, initiates the talk or who gives that realization. Simple. To the extent the intelligence is there of the speaker also, of the hearer also. Okay? Mhm.
Mataji, hari Bol Mataji. Tanbat Punam. Mataji.
You can read? Yeah,
Yeah.
read.
Text 23. Aham hi prishtaharja mana bhavadvi rachaksha atma gamahatra yavan nabha patantatma samang patrin statha samang vishnu gating vipaschitaha. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O rishis, who are as powerful, pure as the sun, I shall try to describe to you the transcendental pastimes of Vishnu as far as my knowledge is concerned. As the birds fly in the sky as far as their capacity allows, so do the learned devotees describe the Lord as far as their realization allows. Purport: the supreme absolute truth is unlimited. No living being can know about the unlimited by his limited capacity. The Lord is impersonal, personal, and localized. By his impersonal feature, he is all pervading Brahman. By his localized feature, he is present in everyone's heart as the Supreme Soul. And by his ultimate personal feature, he is the object of um, transcendental loving service. Um, Feature, he is object of transcendental loving service by his fortunate associates, the pure devotees. The pastimes of the Lord is in different features can only be estimated partly by the great learned devotees. So Srila Suta Goswami has rightly taken this position in describing the pastimes of the Lord as far as he has realized. Actually, only the Lord himself can describe himself, and his learned devotee also can describe him as far as the Lord gives him the power of description. Oh, such a powerful shloka. Thank you, Mataji.
Now, this is a very powerful shloka to the extent I have understood. This
Yeah.
shows also the humbleness of a speaker. And sometimes there are questions aroused. And when a person is not able to answer, he should he should tell sincerely, I will ask my authorities. Simple. Not try to show that yes, I know everything, I will answer somehow. You should not do that. There should be humility. If you're not able to answer, leave the topic, say, I will just ask and come back. And immediately the listener should not think, to whom I'm asking? He's a pakka buddhu, he doesn't know anything. Knowledge is vast. Not that everything should be known by the speaker. Even the so-called highest speakers also, it is not that their knowledge is full. Because Lord is unlimited. Even thousands and thousands of mouth of Adishesha is not enough to glorify Krishna. He himself confesses that my 1,000 mouths are also not enough. So everything should be known by a speaker is not necessary. If he is not knowing, he can easily ask his authorities. Sometimes his authorities also may not know, then the topic is like, okay, if possible, try to get the answer. Not possible, leave it. What to do? If his authorities are able to answer, it's okay. Or his authorities will ask his authorities, and this way it may come out. So 1.18.24. एकदा धनुरुद्यम्य विचरन् मृगयां वने मृगाननुगतः शान्तः क्षुद्दिता त्रिषितो वृषम् जलाशयम् अचक्षाणः प्रविशेष तम् आश्रमम् ददर्श मुनिमाशिनम् शान्तं मिलितलोचनम् एकदा a story starts. Once upon a time, it starts like this. Ekada, once upon a time, Dhanu, arrows and bow, Udyamya, taking firmly, Vicharam, following, Mrigayam, hunting exertion, Vanam, in the forest, Mrigam, stags, Anugataha, while following, Shantaha, fatigue, Suditaha, hungry, Trishitaha, being thirsty, Brisham, extremely, Jalashayam, reservoir of water, Achakshanaha, while searching for, Pravisheshaha, he entered into Tam, that famous ashramam, hermitage of Shamik Rishi. Dadarshaha saw Munim, the sage, Ashinam, seated, Shantam, all silent, Milita, close, Lochanam, eyes. Maharaj Parikshit was engaged in hunting in the forest with bow and arrows. He was so tired, hungry, thirsty because of following the stags. So he was searching for a reservoir water. At the time he entered a hermitage, and that was belonging to Shamik Rishi. Little bit is sounding the same, isn't it? Shaunak Adi Rishi. They are the rishis who have assembled in Naimisharanya to hear from Sutta Goswami. This is the Rishi, Shamik Rishi. Parishad Maharaj entered the hermitage of this Rishi, and he saw this sage sitting silently with closed eyes. So he is a king. King has entered his ashrama. So naturally, he should open his eyes, welcome the king. The citizens are supposed to welcome the king because it is Kshatriyas who are taking care of Brahmanas. So it is but a natural etiquette. And that too, somebody comes to your house and you are closing your eyes and sitting. Anybody. Will you not feel bad? You go to somebody's house and they're not bothered even to talk to you. They're so closing the eyes. They're just doing their own work. Would you like to stay in that house? Would you like to be in that house? Naturally, somebody comes, you show your heart, you express your heart, invite him, you make him so comfortable, isn't it? So now here, Parikshit Maharaj is a king, and this sage is closing the eyes and sitting. So which king will not like? Anybody, which king will like this behavior? So read this. Narayana, read.
Yes, Mataji. एकदा धनुरुद्यम्य विचरन् मृगयां वने मृगाननुगतः श्रान्त क्षुधितस्तृषितो भृशन् जलाशयमचक्षाणः प्रविवेश तमाश्रमम् ददर्श मुनिमासीनं शान्तं मिलितलोचनम्. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Once upon a time, Maharaj Parikshit, while engaged in hunting in the forest with bows and arrows, became extremely fatigued, hungry, and thirsty while following the stags. While searching for a reservoir of water, he entered the hermitage of this well known Shamika Rishi and saw the sage sitting silently with closed eyes. Purport: the Supreme Lord is so kind to his pure devotees that in proper time he calls such devotees up to him and thus creates an auspicious circumstance for the devotee. Maharaj Parikshit was a pure devotee of the Lord, and there was no reason for him to become extremely fatigued, hungry, and thirsty, because a devotee of the Lord never becomes perturbed by such bodily demands. But by the desire of the Lord, even such a devotee can become apparently fatigued and thirsty just to create a situation favorable for his renunciation of worldly activities. One has to give up all attachment for worldly relations before one is able to go back to Godhead. And thus, when a devotee is too much absorbed in worldly affairs, the Lord creates a situation to cause indifference. The Supreme Lord never forgets his pure devotee, even though he may be engaged in so called worldly affairs. Sometimes he creates an awkward situation, and the devotee becomes obliged to renounce all worldly affairs. The devotee can understand by the signal of the Lord, but others take it to be unfavorable and frustrating. Maharaj Parikshit was to become the medium for the revelation of Srimad Bhagavatam by Lord Sri Krishna, as his grandfather Arjuna was the medium for the Bhagavad Gita. Had Arjuna not been taken up with an illusion of family affection by the will of the Lord, the Bhagavad Gita would not have been spoken by the Lord himself for the good of all concerned. Similarly, had Maharaj Parikshit not been fatigued, hungry, and thirsty at this time, Srimad Bhagavatam would not have been spoken by Srila Shukadev Goswami, the prime authority of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, this is a prelude to the circumstances under which Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken for the benefit of all concerned. The prelude, therefore, begins with the words once upon a time. Hare Krishna.
So as his grandfather became the medium for Bhagavad Gita to be revealed to the entire world. In the same way, Parikshit Maharaj became a medium for Bhagavatam to be revealed. Or if you see Sagunan Samati Tetan Brahmabhuyaya Kalpate, devotees are beyond the three modes of material nature, fatigue, thirst, hunger. It doesn't actually, if for a self-realized soul, these things doesn't disturb. But somehow, why he was disturbed by tiredness, fatigue, and hunger and thirst? Because it was Krishna's will. And that is how Bhagavatam is going to be evolved. Next, 26th verse. प्रतिरुद्धेन्द्रिय प्राण मनोबुद्धिम् उपारतम् स्थान स्थानत्रयात् परं प्राप्तं ब्रह्मभूतम् अविक्रियम् प्रतिरूढं restrained, indriya, the sense organs, prana, air of respiration, mana, the mind, buddhi, intelligence, uparatam, inactive, sthana, places, priyata, from the three, param, transcendental, praptam, achieved, brahmabhutam, qualitatively equal with the supreme absolute, avikriyam, unaffected. The Muni's sense organs, breath, mind, intelligence were all restrained from material activities. He was situated in a trance apart from the three: wakefulness, dream, unconsciousness. Having achieved a transcendental position qualitatively equal with the Supreme Absolute, it was not that intentionally he kept his eyes closed. He was completely in trance, he was situated in trance, and he was away from all these three things, three states. That is wakefulness, hmm, then dream, there is snapna, jagruti, sushupti. These are all the states: wakefulness, jagruti, sapnaha, sushuddhi, all these things. He is away from all these things. And he is completely situated in Brahman. Brahman realization, you can say, equal to the absolute truth means what? Situated in Brahman. So he was completely in samadhi. Samyagadite asmin atmatattva yathatmayam. In that state, this Muni was actually, he was in the state of samadhi. So it was neither the mistake of Parikshit nor the mistake of Muni. So this was all a transcendental arrangement. Okay. Gadadhar Prabhu, please read.
Hare Krishna Dandatna Mataji. Text number 26. प्रतिरुद्धेन्द्रिय प्राण मनोबुद्धिम् उपारतम् स्थानत्रयात् परं प्राप्तं ब्रह्मभूतम् अविक्रियम्. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Muni's sense organs, breath, mind, and intelligence were all restrained from material activities, and he was situated in a trance apart from the three: wakefulness, dream, and unconsciousness, having achieved a transcendental position qualitatively equal with the supreme absolute. Purport Srila Prabhupada. It appears that the Muni look at that.
Keep your videos off and you can read. Your voice is not heard properly.
Now I am audible, Mataji?
Yeah, read.
A purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It appears that the Muni in whose hermitage the king entered was in yogic trance. Transcendental position is attained by three processes, namely the process of jnana or theoretical knowledge of transcendence, the process of yoga or factual realization of trance by manipulation of the psychological, physiological, and psychological functions of the body, and the most approved process of Bhakti Yoga or the engagement of senses in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, also we have information of the gradual development of perception from matter to a living entity. Our material mind and body develop from the living entity, the soul, and being influenced by the three qualities of matter. We forget our real identity. The jnana process theoretically speculates about the reality of the soul, but Bhakti Yoga factually engages the spirit soul in activities. The perception of matter is transcended to still subtler states of the senses. The senses are transcended to the subtler mind and then to breathing activities and gradually to intelligence. Beyond the intelligence, the living soul is realized by the mechanical activities of the yoga system or practice of meditation, restraining the senses, regulating the breathing system, and applying intelligence to rise to the transcendental position. This trance stops all material activities of the body. The king saw the Muni in that position. He also saw the Muni as follows. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Prabhupada. Good job.
We will take one more verse and go through the last verse for today.
Text was 27.
27. विप्रकीर्ण जटाश्छत्रम् रौरवेणाजिनेन च विशुष्यत्तालुरुद्रकम् तथा भूतम् अयाचत विप्रकीर्ण all scattered. What is scattered? His hairs were scattered. Jata achanam, covered with compressed long hair. Rauravena, by the skin of a stag. Ajinena, by the skin. Cha also. Vishushyat, dried up. Talu, palate. Udakam, water. Tatha bhutam, in that state, ayachata, asked for. The sage in meditation was covered by the skin of a stag. And long compressed hair was scattered all over him. The king, whose palate was dry from thirst, asked him for water. He asked him. First, he did not receive any formal welcome, but still he asked him water. Then also there was no response. The palate was completely dry. He requested water from that sage. That is why this all is arrangement actually. It is not an intentionally the Muni wanted to insult Parikshit Maharaj. He was in trance, he was completely out of this world. And Parikshit Maharaj is asking water. Okay. Mataji, read. Kamalakshi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mother.
Your name I have to again. Kamala.
Hare Krishna. Dandot Pranam, Mother. Text
Kamalakshi,
27.
Kamalakshi Mataji, read.
विप्रकीर्ण चडाचनं रौरवेण आजिनेन च विशुष्यत्तलुरुदकं तदा पूतम् अयाचतः. Translation prepared by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The sage in meditation was covered by the skin of a stag, and long compressed hair was scattered all over him. The king, whose palate was dry from thirst, asked him for water. Purport. The king, being thirsty, asked the sages for water. That such a great devotee and king asked for water from a sage observed in trance was certainly providential. Otherwise, there was no chance of such a unique happening. Maharaja Parikshit was thus placed in an awkward position so that gradually Srimad Bhagavatam could be revealed. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Okay. We'll stop here. Any questions?
Hare Krishna Mataji. In verse 22, it is said that real non-violence means freedom from envy.
Freedom from
Non-violence
envy.
means freedom from envy.
That is why, what is Bhagavad Gita establishing? Non-violence. Because violence was employed to establish non-violence. And Krishna goes as peace messenger. Duryodhana was very envious. That is violence, violent attitude. Like a sharp needle is used to remove the thorn. In the same way, violence was employed to establish non-violence. So non-violence means freedom from enviousness. A mother scolds a child, beats a child. Is it violent?
No.
No, mother is envious. So mother scolds, beats, father scolds, beats, but it is not enviousness. It is just for the improvement of the child. So you cannot say you are a terrorist.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Violence has the root in enviousness. Okay?
But why enviousness? Why?
It is the root of everything. All the jada of terrorism is enviousness. You have enviousness, you may show it by body language or in the heart or by your speech. Three things to show enviousness. Enviousness is the byproduct of this world. Paras sukhi asahanam. Para utkarshanam asahanam. Somebody is happy, you don't like it.
Yes, correct.
It's a root cause of everything. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Shortly, Hare Krishna. Panchakalpataruभ्यः शक्तिः सिन्धुभ्यः च पतितनं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः वैष्णवेन्दि जय श्री प्रभुपाद जय